Ooh, suddenly soundtracks are here to provide you. Suddenly soundtracks will show you care. Oh, be more the soundtrack inside you with sweet understanding. Oh, with sweet understanding. With sweet understanding. Soundtracks are your friend.
Hey guys, how you doing? This is Suddenly Soundtracks, again the weekly show where we go through a movie song by song and judge a movie solely based on the soundtrack that it provides. This week we are doing REPO the Genetic Opera. This is a phenomenal musical. It's a rock opera filled with murder, guts, gore, and it's pretty topical, a plague. A pretty bad thing that's spreading around. So I'm with a group of fantastic people who want to talk about rock and roll and horror. So this is going to be a fun show. Starting with Max. Max, how you doing? When was what was your? This is your probably one of the few times you've seen REPO. What are your thoughts on the musical before we head into it?
So I actually saw it in theaters when it had its really limited run back in I want to say 2007, maybe 2008. I don't remember when it hit the theaters near me.
I think 08.
I have super conflicted feelings on it. I think it's really rad and cool, and I like some of the music quite a bit. And then I think in other ways the movie is awful, but it's one of those awful movies that I love. You know, I'm like judging every poor lighting decision. Like, why did they put the camera there? Why did they hire this actor who can't sing? And then they're like singing metal and rock songs about organs, and I'm like, this is so cool. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's a pretty. It's perfect for the season. All things considered,
it's a great spooky season musical.
Yeah. John Smith. This is your first time on an actual structured PJN show, buddy. John is the husband of the great Kristen Smith. John, what are your thoughts on REPO, and when did you first see it?
Well, I gotta say that Max is just completely wrong. It's one of the greatest movies of all time, and possibly the greatest musical of all time. So I'm just stunned to hear that somebody who's so well known for stage, for theater, is just so blinded and so wrong all at once.
So when did you first see it, though, John?
2009, when it released on DVD.
Awesome. Why do you love it so much?
Because it's the greatest rock opera of all time.
That's all you need to say. Okay. And Dwayne, I know you love this musical. You're in love with this musical, and I know you love it, and that's why we invited you on. Dwayne, when did you first see REPO, and why do you love it so much?
I also saw it in 2009 when it came out on like DVD. That was the thing back then, right? DVDs. But yeah, I don't even remember like how I chanced across it, but I saw the cover, and was like, this is my speed. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I'm not normally a fan of musicals, but I love this movie. And I understand why Max says that some of it's bad, but I also love that. And I love that it fits like what the movie should be. If they tried to make it now with like a bigger budget and like go bigger, I don't think I would like it as much. But I think it's perfect as is.
I think it works as an $8 million movie or something. It works as a cheapo. And I think for me, like, I've heard about REPO. I've listened to REPO. I was familiar with it, but I didn't watch it recently. It's my kind of music. I like Meatloaf. I like the whole, like, gothic opera kind of vibe it has. So it was good to revisit this. We'll have a lot of interesting opinions going forward. But first, before we do that, I am going to go through what the show is. So essentially, guys, if you've been here before, each soundtrack is reviewed track by track. Every panelist gives gives a score depending on how they feel about a certain song. Bada bing, bada boom. We judge it by the soundtrack, not the film itself. And of course, here's the scoring system. Hard Rockin', we only get 2 of them. It is a 6 out of 5 for a song of our choice. Rockin' is 5 out of 5. Download It is 4 out of 5. Shuffle It is 3 out of 5. One Time Listen is 2 out of 5. And Skip It is 1 out of 5. And it's based on a scoring system as simple as that, and we're going to go through each song. So guys, if you guys are all ready, we're going to go into the first opening number, which is not our overall thoughts. At the Opera Tonight, which is track 1. Dwayne, how do you feel about this track, and what are your thoughts on At the Opera Tonight? We're going to go around, by the way, Dwayne. Don't give us your score just yet. So what are your thoughts on At the Opera Tonight?
I think it's the perfect way to open the soundtrack, because I think that it gives you a feel of what to expect through the rest of the album as you're listening to it. And I think that's why it's the perfect song to start. And I think anyone who's seen the movie will know, listening to the soundtrack, that the songs are not in order. And I think it's better that way, because this tells you exactly what you're listening to. Exactly,
yes. What I consider is the benefit of any musical is if your opening number, especially in your soundtrack, immediately dignifies what the theme is. And this movie came off as like a comic book movie kind of at first with this opening sequence, so I did appreciate that. John, what are your thoughts on At the Opera Tonight?
Similar to Dwayne, it's the perfect opening to this entire movie. It really gives you a sense of madness is about to unfold, and a sense of dread, and a sense of pleasure from watching people get ripped apart, scene by scene.
Cool. Exactly, John. Max, what are your thoughts on how the movie opens?
Yeah, I pretty much agree on this one. This is the rare time where I'm not angry that the soundtrack is out of order from the movie, because I think this is a great introduction to the style of music. It has pretty much every major character singing, so you get a taste for the different voices. I like the guitar and the drum work a lot. I think it's a really solid song, and it really eases you into this gothic metal punk rock opus you're about to experience.
Yeah, I do too. I commend those sentiments exactly. Max, what do you give it though?
4.
All right, you give it a Download It. What do you give it, John?
4 as well.
All right, Download It. Is this a sweep, or what do you give it, Dwayne?
I also gave it a Download It.
Wow, we all give it a down. You know what? I'm actually gonna go past that. I'm actually gonna give it a Rockin', because on my merit is that if you open a soundtrack with this amount of you're setting the tone. If you do that job, and you do that job well, you should, in my opinion, just automatically get the 5 out of 5, because yes, you do set the tone for the rest of the soundtrack. So that's my logic around it. I will give it a 5 out of 5. All right, guys, we're going into the next track though, which is it's Crucifixus. It's a very small little bit by
Sarah Brightman.
Sarah Brightman. Yeah, she does this little bit of opera, and it's a really great kind of Italian opera piece. But Dwayne, what are your thoughts on Crucifixus?
This and a song we're going to talk about later are probably the most impressive songs on the soundtrack. This one floors me when I just listen to it outside of context of what the movie is. Just listening to the song, I'm like, how is this noise coming out of a human being? It's amazing.
She hits those notes really, really well. Max.
Yeah, look, Sarah Brightman's an icon. She was the original Christine Daae in Phantom of the Opera. She has one of the great soprano voices of our, or I guess she'd be the previous generation before us. And this song definitely shows that off. The notes she hits, her tone, her vibrato, it's killer. I think the song itself, listening to it as a song, it's a little muddled for me. It's very dissonant, which certainly works with when you have the imagery associated with it. But just listening to it on its own, it's good, but I didn't love it.
Yeah, I think I'm on your boat, Max. John, what are your thoughts on it?
I love this song. It's got a Phantom album on it. It's just a great song. I love this song. I don't really have any other thoughts other than I love this song.
Yeah, it's a great vocal. You're nice, short, and sweet, John. What do you give it though, bud?
5.
Wow, you give it a rockin'. Okay. Max.
3.
All right, you give it a. What is a 3?
Shuffle
It's your
it.
show.
I know. I forgot about it. It's
You
a
creep.
shuffle it. I know. I blanked. I blanked. Dwayne.
Throw it out.
Yeah, Dwayne. What do you give it?
I also gave it a rockin', and it was actually in one of the 4 that I had in contention for my hard rockin'. That's how much I love this song.
Yeah, I actually give it a shuffle it as well. It's a strong vocal, and I really appreciate her vocal, and she sounds amazing. The song itself, though, doesn't have a lot of substance compared to the other tracks on the record. All right, guys, we're gonna go into we're busting through these. Track number 4, which is a very catchy song called "Infected." John, what are your thoughts on?
You skipped one.
You skipped
I
one.
guess we're just gonna skip an important one.
Oh,
this is a pretty important one.
This is actually this is a good one too. So crap. Okay, sorry guys. We're gonna go right into the villain song of the actual song itself, which is the introduction to Raleigh, or what's it?
Roti.
Roti. Played by the fantastic Paul Sorvino, and actually this Sorvino. This song is amazing. I think this is actually my personal favorite song on the record. I feel like, I do. I actually feel like just his voice and his operatic kind of like singing, and even though it's not necessarily the most powerful like singing voice for a villain, he gives that operatic class, and I really like how he performs the song, especially visually. I really enjoyed it as well. Max, what are your thoughts on Things You See in the Graveyard?
Paul has a great opera voice. He's a trained professional. This song reminds me a lot of Phantom of the Opera, which I think is intentional. It's a lot of speak singing, and it's very expository. So I'm not really a big fan of listening to it on its own. It has a lot of electronic undertones also that are pretty cool, but I don't often find myself listening to the Phantom soundtrack outside of watching it as a full piece either. This sort of like it's actually dialogue that they're singing doesn't work for me, just like in headphones or trying to jam to at home.
All right. John, what do you think?
See, I disagree.
Okay.
I do listen to the Phantom of the Opera during lifting, so there you go. It pumps me up. I pulled 600 on that. It's great. But this song in particular, it's one of my top 3. It actually comes in at number 3. Almost made it to my hard rocking, but just couldn't quite out edge a couple other ones.
Oh, okay. I actually threw the towel in and gave it a hard rocking myself. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on the Things You See in the Graveyard?
I love everything about this song when I'm watching the movie, but when I'm listening to it, I think I'm in a similar vein as Max. The spoken word part of it kind of takes me out of wanting to listen to it independently, but I still think that it's a great song, and it's in my top 4, coming in at number 4. Like, it's just, I think I would listen to it more outside of the movie without the words. Just the background, I think, would be a great lifting song.
Oh, God. Max, what do you give it, though?
I give it a 2.
Oh, okay. So you're the outlier. That's fine. And you said you gave it a 4, Dwayne?
No, I gave it a rockin'.
Oh, a rockin'. Okay.
Yeah, my top 5, I think, all got rockins.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you said 4 for a second.
Top 2 got hard rockins, and then next 3 got rockins.
Phenomenal. Now we're going to go into a very catchy song that I'm going to throw to you, John, which is Infected. What are your thoughts on this song and the power of Alexa Vega's voice?
I loved it. It's a little angsty, though, so I couldn't quite get it into a 5, but it's a great song. Still hitting a 4 with me. I'd still download it, but it's got a little bit of that angst, and I'm not big into the teen emo angst music, and that's kind of what the vibe I get from that song. So
because you're old.
Because you're old. It does give off a very Avril Lavigne. It does kind of give that off, and I kind of appreciate it for it. And I think for my side, this could easily have been an Avril Lavigne song. I feel like this also has a lot of that kind of angst that I actually do appreciate. A lot of my favorite music has that kind of horny teen angst, kind of like drive to it. And even though this isn't necessarily that, like, lyrically, the feeling of it musically is there, and I appreciate it for it. And I think it's very catchy, and that's why I gave it, personally, a downloaded. It's not a rockin', but I really appreciated what it was going for musically. Max, I'm just going to let you go. What are your thoughts on it? What do you give it?
Yeah, this is one of two songs that I think are somewhat similar that Alexa Vega gets to sing that are very pop punk. They sort of remind me of like Riot era Paramore, which is the album came out the same year this movie came out. And Paramore is frankly one of my favorite bands. I like the song a lot. I think it's catchy. I think she has the perfect vocals for this sort of angsty teen stuff, which I thrive on. I love. So I give it a 4.
Amazing. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on Infected?
I don't really love this song. This is
All
one
right.
of the ones that I kind of am not a super. Okay. I don't know. It feels a little weird. I think that they let a little bit of the musical creep into this song, and it feels a little bit more like something you would hear in a musical, but just put over a rock beat. And I was like, didn't quite sit well with me.
All right.
So I put it a little bit lower than everybody else, it seems.
What do you give it though?
I gave it a shuffle it.
Oh, okay. This is really a mixed bag of opinions for this entire conversation, which gives light to it. So, Max, I'm going to throw it to you for this one. Legal Assassin. We get the great Anthony Stewart Head singing one of. It's a gem. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm not going to bury the lead. This is far and away my favorite track on the soundtrack. I think Anthony Stewart Head's voice is incredible. He can do the like emotion and the more traditional musical theater singing, but then he can also do these incredible rock growls. And this song has all of that. The guitar riffs are sick. And I think it does an incredible job of showing how complex his character is, because in another piece, he could be the villain. But here, he's the villain and he's also the anti-hero, and this song sells all of that. I love it. I think it's so badass.
Yeah, it's really badass. In fact, before we were recording, I was like, you know what? This guy could really kick ass as Frankenfurter. And apparently he's played Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror, and he has a kick-ass version of Sweet Transvestite on Spotify. This man can sing rock. I wish we saw more of Anthony Stewart Head. I wish we did. Especially, you're a fan of Buffy too, Max. I
adore Buffy. And he gets to sing on Buffy. And
He's just a gem of a person. John, your thoughts on Legal Assassin?
This is one of those songs that I struggled with. It was one I waffled on, whether it's a hard rocking or just a rocking, and I love this song. Anthony does a great job. It's a beautiful piece. You can really see the conflict in him through this song and hear it. But I had to give it a 5. I couldn't quite break into the 6 out of 5 for me.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna go lower the way you were talking. Yeah, it's rocking 100%. Dwayne.
Yeah, I also gave it a rockin'. It's when we get to my hard rockins, you'll notice the commonality between the two, because they both involve my favorite character in the show. But like, this song is a perfect example of why it's a shame that Anthony Stewart Head is only known as Giles from Buffy. Like, he is so much more, and he just, I don't know why he didn't get to do more or isn't well known for more, but the man is amazing. And this song is perfection. He's just not my favorite character in the show. I think that's why I didn't give it a hard rockin'.
Yeah, I do wish we saw more of Anthony Stewart Head. We're going to move on, though, guys, and I'm going to throw it to you, Dwayne. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on this one. It is Bravi.
Okay, this...
Yeah, I know. This is a mess.
Yeah, this song is... I struggled with this song because we all know what this musical is, and how this kind of fits into it. But I think listening to it, just the soundtrack, taking it out of context, I don't know if this is a good song to put on the soundtrack.
It's a carousel music. It's good for carousel.
Yeah. I think maybe this is one that they could have left off.
Yeah, especially since there were 60 songs and maybe something else could have popped on. So, what do you give it, though?
I gave it a skip it.
Oh God! Oh God!
Yeah.
This might be a
Yeah.
first for the show, possibly.
Yeah.
John, what do you give Bravi?
Well,
Oh no!
everything Dwayne said is accurate. The song is trash. It has no context outside of the musical. It doesn't
Yep.
work on any level. It's a 1, and it deserves to be a 1. And there's so many better songs on the deluxe soundtrack that they didn't include in the original. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's 2 skip-its. Max.
So let me just say that keeping in mind that you're supposed to hate the Largo children, none of them can sing. They're all awful singers, which in some ways works in the film because they're whiny and bratty and you hate them. But listening to this, my ears started bleeding. It's a 1.
Guys, this is our first on the show, actually. It's a universal skip it for Bravi. The thing is, though, I do appreciate its sentiment in the movie because you actually do get to know who these kids are. They want their inheritance from their dying father. Again, that's a great thing to establish. You could have done it without putting them on horseback and making it sound like a carnival ride. I just feel like it's just a song that just needs to be flown out to the river and blown up. So Bravi is dead on arrival. But we're gonna go into the next one, which I have a kind of soft spot for, which
Dead
is
on Arrival. That's a good song.
yeah, 21st Century Cure. So John, what are your thoughts on the 21st Century Cure song?
Hard rocking. This one is awesome. It's powerful. It's just awesome. Like there's nothing wrong with it. It's a perfect song. You can work out to it. You can listen to it in your car, and you can watch it while watching the greatest musical of all time. I mean, it's beautiful.
I really, really love Terrence. Forgive me if I pronounce his last name wrong. Zadunich. Zadunich.
Yeah.
Zadunich.
You know what, Chris?
His
I'm
voice-
done with you tonight.
I am so sorry. Yeah. But Terrence is phenomenal in this. His deep voice works perfectly for this Gravedigger. And this entire like song itself just has a great beat, and you're like established in this alleyway to this guy that's just not in it for a lot. He kind of acts as kind of like the storyteller. So I really appreciate Terrence's performance. I gave it a rockin'. I legitimately think this is a great song, and I would listen to it outside of the soundtrack. Dwayne.
This is one of the ones that I struggled with when I was coming up with the hard rockin', and it made it out. I gave it a hard rockin'. It is one of my favorite songs, like in the movie, on the soundtrack, because I think this is one of the few songs where you can get the imagery from the song.
Yep.
You see exactly what he's talking about. You can picture the movie just listening to it. Some of the rest of the songs, you kind of need that context of the movie, but this, you've got it in the song.
And his high note when he says grave or whatever, when the lights shine on him, freaking awesome. He really hits it twice. It's twice.
His low note, when he hits that one really deep low note, I was like, damn, that's low. That is beautiful.
It's just soothing. Max, do you have any contradicting opinions?
Contradicting, not so much. Other than Anthony, I think Terrence is the best performance in the film. And honestly, when I think of the film, I think it's his character that I immediately come to. Certainly, the fact that he wrote the screenplay and created this world and these characters is probably a big part of that. But his voice is so metal and so rad. Like, if he wanted to, he could be a legitimate heavy metal or hard rock singer. And I don't know why. I mean, sure, there's, I don't know the man. I don't know what his life is. But, put him up there with the great rock vocalist. His range is killer. His bass notes are so pure, and that's so rare, because even people who can sing that low, sometimes they can't enunciate that well. It's just so crisp. This song is pretty badass. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is actually the song that sort of starts the film, right?
No, the last song on the soundtrack is the song that opens the film.
Okay.
Yeah, that one did.
Okay, so that's my mistake, but it still feels very this is very much him in the narrator role. I give it a 4.
But I think this has the best line, or the best lyric in the entire movie. Your designer heart still beats with common blood.
Yeah, that's a good line. Yeah,
I think that encompasses the entire film.
Yeah, it's a good tagline too for a poster. So guys, we're gonna go into okay. We didn't like Bravi. This one isn't too much better in my opinion because it's the same damn children being the same bratty selves to a only slightly in my opinion, better song. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on Mark It Up? I don't know if you agree with me or not. It has a good tagline.
I like this one a lot more.
Yeah.
Than Bravi, because in this, like Max said, they can't sing, but at least you kind of can get a story out of this. And there's like the song takes you on a bit of a journey.
Yeah.
Whereas Bravi, you get nothing out of that song at all.
No.
You get zero context. The song, you literally can skip it and you won't lose anything listening to the soundtrack. Whereas this, like, at least you get a little bit out of it.
Yeah, because I get it too. You get a little bit more of their motivation too with their father. So and I like the tango beat. It really, it's better musically, and it's something that's at least some substance. John, what are your thoughts on Mark It Up?
It's worse than Bravi. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
Bravi at least is so quick you could blink and miss it even in the movie. I mean, it's so fast. You don't even
That's fair.
You can put it out of your mind immediately and it's gone because it's sandwiched around some good music. This one though, it just keeps going on and it doesn't stop. And it makes my ears bleed.
It is a very long song.
And if you just watching the movie, like the soundtrack is awful and it has no purpose. This song has no purpose on the soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
But when you watch the movie and you watch them sing this, it's even worse because it's just cringy because these people can't act, they can't sing. It's just a disaster.
And the characters aren't likable at all.
And it won't end.
And they never really get their comeuppance either.
No.
No.
They get to all live. What the
Yeah.
heck?
I thought he was going to shoot them at the end. We'll get to that. But yeah. So you're a skipper, right, John?
It's a 1.
Okay. Dwayne,
It's
did I get your
0
score?
if I could.
Oh,
No, I gave it a 2. That's one-time listen.
One-time listen? Yeah.
Yeah, one-time listen.
Okay, I didn't know if I got your score or not. Max, are you in agreement with them, or do you love this song?
Not quite, actually. But first
Okay.
of all, let me just point out how interesting I find it that someone who called this the greatest musical ever made just went on a rant about how there's main characters that can't act, can't sing, and the song made their ears. Beats contain multitudes, folks.
That's Max. That just tells you how great this is that it's got people so bad in it that it's made up for the fact by every other character and actor.
So I have all the same problems with this as I do with Bravi. They can't sing. It's so annoying. And yet, I was eating lunch earlier today, and all of a sudden I was like, dun, 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 dun. It's catchy. The mark it up and the beat is catchy. So I have to give it a 3 just because the melody itself is catchy. And it is more of a traditional musical thing, but I love, like, musicals are my thing.
The only thing that saved this song for me was the musicality of it.
Yeah, it got caught in my head. And I was thinking, like, there are so many other songs I like more than this, but this is the one that it's like an earworm. It sticks with you. Yeah. So it's a 3. So I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's like right there in the middle.
I'm there with Max. It's an earworm, and I feel like if it's catchy, like the dun 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 dun, dun that gets that beat kind of has a little bit of a Chicago kind of vibe to it. Actually, it really does have that musicality, and really, it's not nowhere near a downloaded. It's nowhere near a shuffle, and it's nowhere near a rockin'. I feel confident though. I would give it a. You know what? I'm going to give it a one-time listen. It's not the best, and I don't think it deserves the 3 in my opinion, but I am on the same page with Max. It does have its niche, and if it's an earworm, it's an earworm.
Wasn't going to give it a 3 until all day I couldn't get this fucking thing out of my head. Fine.
That's not a good thing.
All right, guys, we're going to go right into Can't Get It Up. If the girls... This is like a 30-second song by Paris Hilton and Terrence. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on? It's just a 30-second little ditty.
Skip it.
Skip it. Skip it.
Skip it.
Yeah. Are you guys all skip it for this one? Because it's only 30 seconds.
It's fucking torture.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's 1. It's horrific.
It is better than Mark It Up.
Not in the right way.
It's better than Mark It Up.
It's better than Bravi, but it's still a skip.
Yeah, better than Bravi.
This is just another another universal skip it for this one. Probably the shortest time we've ever spent on a single song too on the show. So that's another thing we have going for us. But here's something that I think we're going to spend a little bit of time on. Zydrate Anatomy. And John, I'm going to throw it to you because I have a feeling you kind of like this one.
Oh, I love this song.
Yeah.
It's not quite hard rocking. It's close. But it couldn't quite make it because there's another one that edges it out later on, which we'll discuss. But I love this one. I mean, this must be, and I don't mean to be offensive, but this to me is what I imagine in my mind's eye what a heroin addict must feel like every time they shoot up, because this is legitimately like,
I get that.
What's going on, and it's just they make it so positive. It's weird. I love this song, but at the same time, it's like this is what heroin addicts do, and I'm like, ugh. But I still love this song, and I don't know. It's just a great song.
Oh, the richness of the voice. Max, what are your thoughts on Zydrate Anatomy?
This is the best Rob Zombie song that Rob Zombie never made. I think this song is fantastic. It's my second favorite song in the piece. I think it has Terrence's best vocals. The beat is fantastic. It's catchy. It's dark. It's oddly fun. Even though I think Legal Assassin, like I said, is the best song, this is the one over the years I listened to the most. Like, I will put this song on playlists time and time again because I think it works so well outside of the piece. It just feels like a great metal song to me.
Yeah. Dwayne, your thoughts on it?
This is my favorite song in the musical.
All right.
I love this song. It is so dark and sexy and just like it's everything that the show it's everything in this show. And a lot of people when they talk about this song, they complain about Paris Hilton, and I was like, she is actually perfect in this song. Like, you can talk about her work outside of everything else and her vocals and other things, but in this it just fits perfectly. I don't think there's anything missed on this song. And I think you already know what I gave it.
Hard rockin', I'm assuming, right? Is that your second one?
Rockin'.
Yeah, okay.
This is my second hard rockin'.
There you go. So, guys, I'm actually going to give it a rockin'. I also kind of give it a fat. It kind of has an "I'm too sexy for my" that kind of like at the beginning. You can definitely hear it, and throughout the entire bit, like I wouldn't be surprised if like that had some sort of influence on the musicality itself. It is really, really good. Now, before we move on. You, Max and John, you both gave it your scores, correct?
5.
Okay, rockin'. So it's rockin', and a hard rockin'. This is top of the charts all the way through. So we're gonna go right into the next one, guys, which is Thankless Job, which I didn't even know Anthony Stewart had sung it until I looked at the credits, and I'm like, yeah. That's not a voiceover. That's his actual evil voice, and I couldn't, for the life of me, tell it was him when he was performing it. And it's not really developed in the film too well, but I'm assuming that's his alternate personality. Am I right to assume that that's his alternate personality? He has some sort of disorder. But
I always
it kind of seems like it. Yeah,
more of like putting on a Batman voice kind of thing.
Okay.
So people can't recognize it's you more than him having a psychological disorder.
Because in the film, this is like when he's cutting someone's organs out.
Yeah, he's torturing somebody. Yeah.
He's not torturing. He's repoing, sir.
Yeah, he's repoing some organs. Yeah. I was trying to, because I didn't watch the movie to.
Of course.
Refresh the songs.
Yeah. It's essentially establishing he's the Repo Man. So. John, what are your thoughts on Thankless Job?
It's great. I mean, chop, chop, chop. It's fun. It's exciting. You can really feel every cut as he's doing it while he sings. I mean, you feel the emotion in there, and you can feel him walling off his, father figure and becoming the Repo Man.
Yeah. Max, what are your thoughts on this torture sequence? And
yeah, this is sort of like an interesting opposite side of the coin to Legal Assassin. I mean, the rage and anger that Anthony achieves in his vocals are great. I like the constant repeat of Repo Man. I really like it. I give it a 4.
Yeah. Dwayne, what do you give it?
I gave it a 4 too, and I gave it also kind of similar to Max. It gives you the conflict within Anthony Stewart Head's character, and I think it's crazy that the hard rocking song was when he was softer and like exposing himself, and the more musical, softer like song is when he gets into this dark, just like vile character, and like lets the evilness out.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna say for this, his kind of his voice, it really kind of threw me off listening to it by itself because it didn't sound like Anthony Storthead, even though it is Anthony Storthead, and I feel like the voice itself kind of is a little too distracting for me. So for me, I gave it a download because I enjoyed the performance itself, but I think if it was Anthony singing it like he would usually sing it, I might have gotten higher marks. Did anybody not give their scores yet? You guys are all good?
Nope.
Okay. Cool. Perfect. So we're gonna go right into Chase the Morning, and Dwayne, I'm gonna go right to you. What are your thoughts on Chase the Morning?
I don't really like this song.
All right.
In the context of the soundtrack, I don't really like it because it's kind of hard to listen to. Because you're trying to follow the lyrics and what's going on, and the song itself is so fast that you lose a lot of that. And when you can't see what's going on screen, it makes it very hard to follow.
Yeah, I was listening to it actually while we were doing the previous song, and I kept getting lost in it because honestly, I don't remember when this happens in the film.
It's when I believe it's when Mags goes to see Shiloh at her house.
Oh yeah, and she's on the staircase. That's it. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And it just came off as kind of forgettable for me. Just musically and just the song itself just doesn't really have any. Again, I gave this one a shuffle it. It's not terrible, but it is what it is. Max, what are your thoughts on Chase the Morning?
Yeah, I like the strings that it starts with a lot, but
The strings are cool.
It's pretty much just a decent electronic beat with people talking over it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind, like, there's some, like you go back to, like, the Pulp Fiction soundtrack. Like, I love the dialogue excerpts, but in this soundtrack, it just really falls flat for me. Like you guys said, it's really muddled and hard to listen to, so I'm not really a fan.
Yeah, John, you have any different opinions?
It's okay. I mean,
Okay.
I give it a 3 by itself. It's okay. In the context of the movie, it's great because the whole scene itself is awesome. But as just music,
Yeah.
okay. It's
But
not
we're gonna
great.
Yeah, we're gonna get into though a song with much more substance, grounded, especially musically, because of how dark it is, and it is "The Night Surgeon." Max, I'm gonna throw it to you first this time. What are your thoughts on "Night Surgeon"? I feel like this has a lot of great dark musicality to it that other songs kind of don't have.
Yeah, this is a very dark song.
Yeah.
I love the guitar work. Once again, Anthony Stewart Head's vocals are insane. But compared to his other two big songs, this one falls a little flat for me. I don't love it as much, so just for that. And I think that it sort of just ends. So I'd give it a 3.
Yeah, I do appreciate though the different kind of characters coming in, and you kind of actually get the sense of what the story is, especially when Paul comes in, and probably the best use of his kids in the entire soundtrack as well. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on Night Surgeon?
I like the like competing vocals.
Yeah.
Similar, like telling the story from two different sides, and without the context of the movie, but the context of the fate of one character from two different people's point of views. I really like that part of the song, but I do think, although it is their best work on the soundtrack, the kids again just take this down a few notches for me.
Yep, I get you. I get.
Bill Moseley, especially, who I really like as an actor. Like, I think he's awesome in like Rob Zombie's movies, like The Devil's Rejects. He's so good, but in this, I find him so painfully annoying. Which again is the point of the character. But when trying to listen to it, I'm like, stop! You're killing me.
I think that we can agree this is probably the best use of them though musically throughout the film, in my opinion at least.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. John, what are your thoughts?
This is a song that should be a 5, but it's a 3 because those kids suck.
All right. So it's a 3. For me, it's a 3 as well. I'm assuming we're all pretty much.
I gotta be honest. Before I got on the show, I was expecting to be more of a dissenter, but there hasn't been that much we've disagreed on. Even though I maybe don't love it as much as you guys overall, but I'm finding this really interesting.
Yeah, because there's a lot to love about this entire
Yeah.
movie. It's just it has flaws, and we're just acknowledging that the flaws are mostly in the music. So we'll get through it. All right, guys, we're gonna go into the next one though, which is 17. Max, I'm gonna go to you first. What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
17?
I love this song. I think it's so fun. I mean, I know we're not supposed to talk about the movie, but the fact that out of nowhere, Joan Jett just shows up and is shredding on the guitar makes my heart so happy.
Yeah.
Like I was saying with, oh God, what was the other one called? Infected.
Infected.
It's part of like a duology of Shiloh's like pop punk songs, and I think this is the stronger one. This is just so fun. It's just like a bop, and I think this one also works incredibly well outside of context. You could play this with like Blink-182, Green Day, Paramore, Fall Out Boy, and it would fit right in. I give it a 5. I love it.
I love her eye contact with the guitarist as he's kind of riffing too. It kind of made you feel like you're at a rock concert, which you were. It was weird visually to be at a rock concert during that scene.
Well, this
but
is also like the only. Again, I know we're not talking about the film, but like the only musical number that sort of has a veil of fantasy over it, because you're seeing what he's dreaming for. So you have like the dancing skeleton. You have all her fans. She looks better than she does. She doesn't look as sickly. So it's a great scene in the film too.
Yeah, the only fantastic element a little. So Dwayne, what are your thoughts on 17?
I think this is the only song from the soundtrack that works with no context at all from the movie. Like they could have taken this and used it somewhere else, not in this musical at all, without changing anything about this song, and it still would be just as great. Like it actually is a completely separate song to me that works in the musical, but also would have worked as a single for Alexa Vega, or like you were saying, Blink-182 or No Effects, or like whoever. Like this is a great song. And the only reason I didn't give it a hard rockin' is just because my favorite character in the show is the grave robber. But this song is amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's freaking awesome. John.
It's a good song, but again, similar to the other song that's kind of her main thing. It's just a little too teen angsty for me, so it's not my cup of tea.
Oh,
I got a better feeling. I had a feeling.
I still give it a 4.
But
It's not my thing. I do like, as Max was saying though, in the film, I think it is better than just by itself on the soundtrack, because those head banging stuffed animals are just incredible. It's the best part.
Oh yeah, I thought they were Muppets for a second, and then I watched it again. I'm like, oh shit, that's a teddy bear. Yeah, but yeah, rockin', and downloaded it. It's a pretty solid song. So we're gonna go right into the next one, which is Go. Oh, okay. This is a solid song, but it's a solid piece of poop, in my opinion. I love Paul Serrano. Gold, though, has nothing compared to the Graveyard song he sung earlier in the film. This really just had no, like, through line musically. He was just talking, and then the song stopped. That's what I felt like. It was a river that just went into an ocean and dissolved. It had really no substance for me whatsoever. And in fact, I think besides, but this one is one of the other weaker songs. I gave it honestly a skip, but even though I loved Paul and I loved his performance as the main villain, this song itself has zero substance for me, but there could be other people who love it. So, Dwayne, do you agree with me or disagree?
I'm kind of on the same page as you.
Oh, okay.
I don't particularly like the vocal of the song.
Okay.
The music in the song I actually really like. So if I could just get like an instrumental track, I'd love it. But because he sings so deep, like Max was saying earlier, when people sing deep, sometimes their vocal gets muddled, or they can't enunciate, or it's not as clear. And I think he has that problem because he goes deep a lot in this song, and it makes it difficult to listen to.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he sung this on set and they just put that onto the recording, because a lot of it's dialogue, and I would assume you wouldn't be lip syncing dialogue that you sing like they would usually do. So I don't know how they mixed it, but yeah, his vocals do seem a little off compared to what the musicality is. John, your thoughts on Gold?
It doesn't have the kids messing it up, so it's still it got to a 2, but you know,
okay.
Doesn't have the kids. That's kind of the perk of that song.
Just forget it, yeah.
It's not quite as disastrous as any of the kids' songs.
Max, you were nodding in agreement with what I was saying. Do you agree with the gold assessment?
Yeah, you really nailed it. I
Yeah.
find it very difficult to listen to. And Paul is a talented opera singer. He really is. But this song, I just find it sort of ugly and painful to listen to.
Yeah. Almost universal skip it.
I give it a 1, actually.
Yeah, I think us three gave it a skip, and then you gave it a 2. So it is what it is. It's not the worst.
Interesting that Jake in the chat says this is his first 6.
Oh wait, I hope he's not talking about gold.
Pretty sure he is. You're talking about gold.
I think he is.
Oh, I'm interested. He'll probably comment once he sees it. But we're going to the next one, which actually is. Okay, we're introduced to the finale piece, which is the whole opera set piece, which it basically establishes what this show is and who these people are. And you actually get, I think, one of the strongest vocal performances of Paul Sorvino in here when he's like singing the Testify bit. And you get everybody pretty much singing this together. Again, this is another solid use of the kids and a lot of the ensemble. This is basically your big, almost penultimate finale piece of a typical musical. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on we started this opera shit?
I think if we weren't going to open this soundtrack with At the Opera Tonight, this is the song that you open with. Yeah. Because this is the only other song that I think you can get an entire picture of what you're going to be listening to. Like, the way it opens with that, like, guitar rock, like, riff. I love that part of the song. And the almost like rhythmic rap, like spoken word at the beginning, the like circus conductor character that comes in and out. Like, I love that part. And it leads into the operatic like ensemble. It's a beautiful meld of like everything that you're going to get in the show.
110%. John, what are your thoughts on opera shit?
The song is just beautiful madness. I mean, it's just all over the board. It's fun. It's exciting. It's just an overall great song, and I had to give it a 4. I would download that right away.
I think it shot the shot too quickly, though, because at the end of the day, it's an anticlimactic song in the film, in my opinion. We'll get to it. But, Max, what are your thoughts on we started this opera shit?
So this is when a lot of stuff, both on the soundtrack and in the movie, starts to take a downturn for me. I really like the instrumentals a lot. And I think the ensemble vocals are good, but it feels like a lot of noise to me. I think Bill Moseley's vocals are so painful. It's really hard to like separate the bad in it from the good. So I give it a 2.
I gave it a solid download because I enjoyed the ensemble work on it, and Dwayne kind of said nicely that it kind of does come off as an opening number, and it could also act as a closing number, but I don't really think these last couple songs really, like, kind of, there's one that's really good, but that really kind of close off the soundtrack in a satisfying fashion. But we're going to go into the next one, which is A Needle Through a Bug. Dwayne, I'm going to throw it to you. This is the duet between the Grave Robber and Shadow. What are your thoughts on it?
I like this song. I pretty much like everything that Terrence does. But this one is very expositional, it feels like. And that kind of, I think, in the context of just the soundtrack, makes it a little bit lesser. Just because it's not as... it doesn't stand on its own. Like, you're missing a little bit if you're not listening to the entire soundtrack.
Yeah. What'd you give it?
I gave it a shuffle it.
Yeah, okay. John?
I shuffled it as well. I don't really have anything else to add. He kind of summed it up perfectly. That's it. There's no substance. It's basically, this is his basically ultimate final number, and it really went nowhere. And it kind of bums me out a little bit. This is what I mean. Like, we're getting to kind of the section where I too am kind of a little let down by a couple of these musical choices. Yeah. Max, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything. What I do have to say is this is one of the better songs at selling the opera concept. Because in a traditional opera or even a rock opera, there's no dialogue at all. And this does have some dialogue. But This is truly like sung dialogue exposition.
Yeah.
And I think it's effective in that, right? But trying to listen to it on its own, I still give it a 3 because the vocals are great. Terrence, any song he's on, like Dwayne said, is immediately elevated just because of how dope his vocals are.
I gave it a 3 as well because of Terrence's vocals. That's the only reason why I gave it a 3. It says that in my notes here too. All right, guys, we're gonna go. We're getting to the finish line here. We're going into Chromagia. Again, this is another song by Sarah Brightman. I have in my notes here. It kind of felt a little samey to the song she sung previously. I couldn't. It's really hard for me to differentiate between the two by themselves, and I'm probably just gonna be the same with this. I'm gonna give it a solid shuffle it. It's a good song. Her vocals are great. It's just there's nothing really there to keep me hooked and wanting to replay it. Dwayne, do you disagree? I know you love her voice.
I do, because I think, and it's mainly just because of the immense respect I have for the ability that's displayed in the song. When you take it out of the context of the movie, like, the song is amazing. I don't need to understand it. I feel it, and like, maybe I won't listen to it all the time, but I definitely am in awe of what is being displayed in the song. So I gave it a rocking. And it was I did consider giving it a hard rocking because I wanted to respect the talent. Like, because it is incredible what she does in this song.
I do, before I throw it to you, Max, want to just shout out Jake. Jake did actually, he loves gold. We all didn't like gold. He loves it. So he was talking about gold.
Chromagia.
Okay. Jake, if you love it, it's amazing. That it's music. It's music. Everything is different. It's objective. So
I completely understand why he'd give this a 6.
Yeah. It's beautifully sung. Max, what are your thoughts on Chromagia?
Yeah, look, I have so much admiration for Sarah Brightman. I said time again that I think she's an incredible vocalist. And I think of all the stuff she has to do on the soundtrack, this is the best. I still think it's not a very good song, and the melody kind of isn't that great. She's sort of just left to blow her face off, which she does. So it's like you have the talent, and then you have the songwriting. So right in the middle there, I'd give it a 3.
And then Paul Serrano just impales her on that stake. John, what are your thoughts on Chromagia?
I agree with Max up there. The song is weak, but she is so talented that it makes it, enjoyable to still listen to. I would go a little bit higher, though. I'd give it a 4. I really like her vocals. So,
yeah, I wish her character was a little bit more developed in the actual film to kind of care about her even more. Because she's there. She's there for a couple of scenes, but we didn't really get to know her as well as maybe we should have.
I know you don't like to talk about the movie. I'd almost argue the movie's too short.
It's 2.5 hours, and I think it's too short. Yeah.
No, it's only 98 minutes.
Yeah, 2.5 hours. Where do you get that?
Yeah, I was like, what were you watching?
Oh wait, is it not 2.5 hours?
No.
I thought it was
Repo Man. How dare you, sir?
Yeah. Were you watching that horrible Forrest Whitaker?
No.
Dare you?
No, I watched it, and it says on Google it's 2.5 hours.
Yeah, Google does say it's 2.5 hours.
I was just looking at it.
There's a lot of really interesting supporting characters that I wish we had more time with, and I think could be a bit more fleshed out. Like this blind Mag in particular is fascinating, and like she just kind of dies, and I think it's a little unresolved.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe that 2.5 hours on Google, maybe there's an extended cut out that we don't know about.
It did start as a stage play, so I'm guessing they probably had more to it than made the film. So
because I know it's not been on Broadway officially, but I know there was a stage play version of it. All right, Max, I'm gonna go through it to you. This is Let the Monster Rise. This is essentially the ending, mostly towards the end, where it's sort of revealed to Shadow that her dad caused the death of her mother, which again, he was framed by Paul Serrano, but this is he still thinks he's guilty himself. And it's just, and Paul Serrano's character just decides to pull a gun, and it's essentially the final calling card for the father and daughter before the death song. So what are your thoughts on Let the Monster Rise?
I'm honestly, I didn't like it that much.
Yeah.
I think, Anthony sounds great, and I think him and Alexis work well together. But
Hmm.
this one really sort of failed outside of context for me. It's like one of the emotional crescendos of the film, and listening to it, it is a lot of pitter patter as opposed to music. Um, so I'm not a huge fan of it as a sound
Yeah.
piece.
And they kind of echo each other. There's not a lot musically going on with it. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on Let the Monster Rise?
I would say for John's criticism with
Hmm.
Shiloh's songs, I think this is the one where it fits the most. Is it was just a little too angsty, and I was just like, I don't need the like teenager being angry at their parents song, and I was like, this I could probably do without, but it is well performed, and the music is actually really good. Like when the guitars kick in and the drums kick in, and like when Anthony hits some of those high notes, like it's
Oh
it's
yeah.
really well performed. It's just I don't think the song is very strong
Yep.
as a whole.
Yeah, I gave it a shovel because of Anthony Stewart Head's vocals. I really like because he doesn't get to be the angsty kind of. He doesn't get to sing those kinds of songs. But again, I'm struggling to find enough to talk about this song because really, honestly, I feel like this song and the next one might have should have been the same track because they kind of go right into the other when after he gets
Yeah.
shot. So, John, what are your thoughts on Let the Monster Rise?
So I'm going to come off as a bit of a paradox on this one.
All
I
right.
like but it's weird. By itself, the song is probably a shuffle it, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel this is one of those songs that really should ever be listened to by itself. I feel it has to be taken in context of the movie, and if it's taken in context of the movie, to me, it's a 6 because it's a really powerful performance with the music at the same time. So I'm breaking the rules here. It is both a 3 and a 6.
All right, as long as you give it a score for the non-movie portion, you're fine. A lot of songs like that in this show are like that. Like, look, that's the point of the show. You're looking at a song by itself. Outside of itself, it didn't do its job. Then it's a shuffle it, and I think we're all mostly on the same page with that.
I think that song or this song actually, without Alexa Vegas part, outside of the context
Yeah.
of the movie, would be better. I think
Yeah.
it would be better with just Anthony Stewart Head on it. Like I think that it would be better.
Yeah, I totally agree with it because Anthony Stewart is amazing vocal. But Dwayne, I'm going to go to you for this one. This is his death song to his daughter, the only ballad basically in the entire film. What are your thoughts on "I Didn't Know I'd Love You So Much"?
I don't really know how I feel about this song still.
Okay.
Outside of the context of the movie, I'm still not sure how I feel about this song because I know how significant it is to the song or to the movie. And like I think what John said, maybe it was you. This song and the last song should have just been
Yeah, one track.
one song, and maybe I would like it a lot more because like I think it doesn't connect. The emotion doesn't connect without the context of the movie.
Yeah, that
Which means the
gunshot.
song, yeah, which means the song isn't quite doing what it needs to do.
Yeah. There should have been some sort of lead up to it, or they should have just mixed the two into one track. I totally get that. What did you give it though?
I gave it a one-time listen.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Max, what are your thoughts on "I Didn't Know I'd Love You"? So much?
I actually really like this song. I think it, like you said, it's a ballad. It's pretty much the only ballad of the piece, and I think it's needed. I think it's their vocals are beautiful and they work really well together. I think it has a strong melody. It feels like a breather, and it's really quite beautiful. I give it a 4.
Cool. Yeah. John.
I give it a 4 too for the same reason, Max. I really like this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful moment in the film when he dies in her arms and they're both singing to each other. A moment that I feel should have been paid off a little bit better. He never found out that that Paul Servano's character poisoned his wife. I don't think he ever found that out. If I watched that correctly, he never did find that out. He always put that guilt on himself, and Paul Servano, I think, got off way too lightly and went to his grave, and he died on stage. The context in the film actually is a little bit worse for me than the actual thing by itself. So I give it a solid downloaded. I think it's a wonderful little piece between a father and a daughter. Inside the film, I feel like there could have been a lot more, like, kind of revealed and discussed. I felt like, again, it went by a little too quick, but that's just the film itself. All right, guys, we're going to go right into the last song of the film, and then we're going to get into the big out of order situation at the end. So we're going to go into Genetic Emancipation. Dwayne, I'm going to throw it to you. What are your thoughts on Genetic Emancipation?
I actually really like this song.
Okay.
Because it's the one song that's different than all the rest of Alexa Vega's performances throughout the rest of the film, and it's like you can feel kind of what her character was going through in the song, and you can feel kind of the release. I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but the release of her father's death and what that releases her from, and the burden that's no longer on her. You can feel that in the song and in the way the song crescendos, and also in the way it kind of like opens up as the song goes on. So
it's very optimistic. What are your thoughts? What's your rating for it?
I gave it a download it.
Cool, yeah. I think, again, you nailed it. It's really different from her other songs. It's no longer kind of teen angsty. She's optimistic. Strangely about her father's death, kind of. I got the fact that she's dead. She no longer has that crutch. So she's, ironically, in a twist of fate, she's kind of better off in her mind by it. I mean, it's weird, but I mean, it's something different. It's optimistic. Her voice is great. There's no reason why not. I shouldn't give it a 4 out of 5. It ends it beautifully. It doesn't end it the way I would have, but it ends it beautifully. So it's not quite the rockin' that I wish it was. Max,
I, for the most part, agree with what you guys are saying. Just a little less enthusiastic overall, but I really like the piano that starts it, and I think it does work as sort of the emotional crescendo. I just feel like as a finale, it's lacking a little something. So I give it a 3, not a 4, but I do like it.
Yeah. Oh, no question. In my opinion, the finale I wish was a little bit more bombastic. I do agree with that, especially for a movie like this. John, what are your thoughts on Genetic?
It should have ended with her ripping out people's organs and holding them to the sky. I am the Repo Man now.
That would be great.
I am the Repo Man.
Yeah.
John, go for it, bud.
No, I like this song. It's hopeful. It ends on a hopeful note. So I give it a 4. It's a solid song. She got rid of the teen angst in this one, so I was happy with that.
It's development.
It's good. There's an evolution to the character.
Now, before we go into overall thoughts, the movie started out with a song that's the last song on the soundtrack, and that song is Genetic Repo Man. I'm going to go to you, John, first, because this is the first song in the actual film itself. Do you think that this works as an intro to the song, and do you think it would work better positioned at the end of the soundtrack? What are your thoughts on this?
I like the song a lot. I'm happy with its placement in the movie. I'm happy with its placement on the soundtrack. It's just a solid song. I like the song a lot. I give it a 5. So.
Oh, whoa! You gave it a rockin'. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. It's really strong. Dwayne, go for it. What are your thoughts on this, on the changes as well?
This is my third favorite song, and this was the hardest one to not give a hard rockin', to be honest. Again, Terrence is the common factor, because he is so great in this song and so great at setting it up. And I think that if, with the change in particular, if they'd ended it the way Max said they should end it, this would be the perfect last song.
Yeah. I wish that this kind of had a reprise. Like, why not rewrite the ending with this and just make it a reprise at the end for the credits or something?
Yeah.
It works well on the soundtrack more than it does in the film, because even though it opens with this in the film, I feel like this ends the soundtrack solidly enough that in the film it could have started with what was the first song on the record? Scrolling up.
At the Opera Tonight.
At the Opera Tonight. It should have started with It Could Have. So it's a weird situation where the song works better on the soundtrack than it even did in the film, and it works in the film as well. I gave it a rock, and it's solid. Max.
I love the like dissonant harmonies of the Repo Man that it starts with. I think it's really gothic and sets the tone well. And as we've all said, Terrence's vocals are out of this world. I just find actually kind of the opposite of what you were saying. I think it's better in the film because the lyrics and what he's singing are so expository, and he's serving so much as the narrator that without the visuals to accompany it, like he's showing you and bringing you into this world, it loses something for me. So I really have to give it only a 3. Yeah, it's tough because it's
Yeah, I get that. I feel like that maybe if they rewrote this song as an epilogue for the ending as well, and kind of made it a bookend for both things.
Yeah, that would have
been a good way to end.
Feels weird that he doesn't come back kind of to close it all out in the song.
I'm wondering if that was budgetary reasons, because I know there was a lot of budget issues with this film behind the scenes.
Who knows?
Who knows? Because
they spent all the money on Paris Hilton's assistants.
Yes, exactly. 110%. All right, guys, that is it for the actual song itself, the soundtrack itself. But we're going to go into our overall thoughts. All right, so what I'm going to do is throw it to you, John. What are your overall thoughts on the record, and what do you give it as a whole?
As a whole, it's a 5. It's a great record. It's got really powerful songs on it. There are some disaster pieces as well. But if we skip over those, it's a solid soundtrack.
Oh, cool. Awesome. How do you think it compares to the film itself? Do you think that it should be in the context itself?
I think it is better in context with the film. Out of context, it's not as good. I mean, that's just being honest. It's still the greatest musical of all time. However, let's be fair. Any other musical has tracks in it that are, shall we say, weak, out of context. So
yeah, that's probably going to be a.
I mean, a great example is The Sound of Music. It's that soundtrack is just a disaster without the context of the film. I mean,
all right, we're going to have you on Sound of Music when we do that, and I'm gonna
coming up next on the PJ Campbell Network, Divorce Court.
Yep, and I'm gonna have both of you and Kristen on, and it's gonna be the best. It's gonna be the best. Max, what are your overall thoughts on the record?
It's almost similar to the film. It's such a mixed bag. Like there are some songs that I just love so much, but I can't overlook the bad ones, and there are some really, really bad ones. So I'm like right in the middle. I give it a 3. Like this is one of those soundtracks where there's like 4 or 5, maybe 6 songs I would take out and listen to, and then just ignore the rest.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat as you. There's a lot of really, really good songs on here, but the amount of rock-ins and downloadeds do not outweigh the fact that a lot of it just felt kind of samey to me on a soundtrack level. Musically, a lot of the songs, I was struggling kind of to figure out what to say doing the homework for this, because just a lot of it's just you have to watch it, because a lot of it's dialogue based. There's like 60 songs in the record. There's 60 songs in the film. A lot of it's it's similar to Sweeney Todd. I give it, along with you, Max, a shuffle it. It's a lot of these songs are really solid. The film itself, it's not the perfect film, but it's a fun film to watch. The cinematography is not that great in my opinion, but it's a fun film. The soundtrack itself, I wish it kind of ended a little stronger too. The song, it's just a lot of missteps I wish they could have cleaned up music-wise.
I would rather watch the film again than have to listen to the whole soundtrack again.
Oh, yeah. I kind of do want to rewatch it too, just to kind of get a sense of it.
It is on Amazon Prime, if you know.
It is.
It is.
Cool. We could at some point do a watch along of it too. Dwayne, what are your overall thoughts on Repo? I know you love it.
I do love it. And I think that I will give it a rockin'.
Cool.
As a whole, and I think that even with weak songs, some of my favorite albums of all time have songs that I skip. There are very few no skip albums in the world, just like there's very few soundtracks that are perfect. So having weak songs, I don't think faults the soundtrack as a whole. I do think that it is better in context of the movie, though, because some of the weaker songs on the soundtrack are stronger when you can see what's going on and you get the exposition that goes with and explains why those songs are significant.
110%. That's great to kind of like it's a lot of, you just have to watch the film. You really have to watch the film and watch the soundtrack to get the full experience of what you're listening to, because at the end of the day, it's good art. It's far from the worst musical I've ever seen or heard. Far from it. Far from it. And I do appreciate you, Dwayne.
It's no La La Land.
I don't really like La La Land, but
I don't either.
Yeah. Okay. I might. I just saw Max roll his eyes. So sorry, Max. Anyway, guys. So we're gonna get us all out of here. So, John, you don't have any social media, but where can the good people find you, bud?
Nowhere.
I know.
I don't believe in social media. It's what's corrupting the youths and the elders and everybody in society nowadays.
Leading to so much teen angst.
Yeah, all that teen angst, all that elder angst, all that boomer angst, all that.
Did you
angst. It's all angst.
Did you enjoy your Metamucil this morning?
Oh, it was delicious. Help me poop.
Dwayne, where can the good people find you? I know you have a lot going on with Twitch.
You could find me on Twitter, Instagram, Patreon @BurkeMade, and you can find me on Twitch @BurkeMade. I hit affiliate yesterday.
Woo!
So
my wife made it
there all the time,
only so she could follow you, just for that purpose.
Yeah,
I appreciate all of the support.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe to him too. Go for it.
I apologize, Dwayne, but who are you? Are you somebody famous?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not at all.
I'm serious.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not
No.
obviously.
No,
I have
no.
social media.
No, I'm not famous in any way, shape, or form.
Because they didn't introduce me to you. I just hopped on and it's like, this is Dwayne. I'm like, oh, okay, this is the guy they said was going to be on. All right, cool.
We actually have met.
We have?
Yes.
Oh, this is great. This is.
We met in Chicago.
Oh, well, I was drunk a lot of the time, so
I was also drunk a lot.
I have a short-term memory when I'm drinking.
We met after Ellis's show. In Chicago.
That's why I don't remember. I don't remember
Yep.
a lot of that night.
Max, we have some announcements to go. So
Yeah,
let you go for it. Yep.
Let me run through some of what we have coming up on the channel. So for the first time ever, we are doing back-to-back nights of Suddenly Soundtracks. So if you like tonight, come back tomorrow for Shock Treatment, which is the sequel and the much underseen sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show, with special guests William Bibiani, Video Drew, and Mark Hoyk. I'm a big fan of Shock Treatment. I think a lot of people haven't seen it, and they should. And I'm sure that incredible panel is going to have really, really fun and interesting things. I can listen to Bibiani in particular talk about movies and music for hours, so that's going to be great. Friday night, Scary Movie Squad, continues with our watch along of Poltergeist. Tune in to see how many times Chris Clark screams on camera. That has been one of the great joys of this month for me is watching you. If you didn't watch our host watch along, go to PJ Campbell's Twitter. He put together a thread where he clipped out all of Chris's reactions. It is delightful.
It's all rigged. It's a fake. It's all fake.
It's a deep fake.
It's a deep fake.
And then Monday, our more family-friendly Scary Movie Squad watch-along is Beetlejuice. I love this movie. I know PJ loves this movie, and we'll probably end up talking about the Broadway musical as well. We also have to give a huge thanks to our Patreon producers. We launched a Patreon not too long ago. The support has been overwhelming. We have our gold tier associate producer, Brandy Parker, our ruby tier producers, Brandon Buckingham, the youth critic, Stephen White, Ferris Muthana, Michael K. Bedore. We have a variety of tiers. Check it out. See which one is right for you. Your name could get on all of our episodes. And I'm just going to say, for the first time, Chris let me make a graphic. So that pleases me. Otherwise, check out BoxBox if you haven't seen it. We definitely have not already filmed a second episode and definitely aren't in the process of editing it. Definitely not.
Don't tell PJ.
Yeah, definitely don't tell PJ. You can follow me on Twitter at Cinemaxwell, Instagram at Cinemaxwell Inc., and I will leave it to you, Chris.
Yeah. Yes, and also be sure to I want to just shout out these patrons once again. Brandy, she actually requested a Suddenly Soundtracks for us to do, and I'm going to announce that tomorrow. for shock treatment. It's a big episode that we're going to be doing later on in the month that she requested for, and it's something that Maxwell is going to be on. His wife Liz is going to make her first appearance, and we're gonna.
No, she's done.
Does she not suddenly soundtracks before?
Oh no, no. Hamilton Watch Along.
She did Hamilton Watch Along. But yeah, Liz is going to make her first appearance on Suddenly Soundtracks too, and that's a very special guest I'm going to announce tomorrow night as well. So from Dwayne, from John, from Max, and myself, we say to you, bada bing, bada boom, and keep rocking.